Welcome back, and let's keep going with our mission of creating our own AI influencer. In the lection before, we learned how to download and install and adjust Colab to our needs, and now we will fire it up and start with the actual creating process. Let's jump onto the screen and begin with the actual work. If you don't know how to get to this starting screen of Google Colab, you should watch the lection before because I explained in depth how you get to that point and how you adjust all these lines here so that it looks exactly like that. And you always find your Google Colab in your Google Drive folder if you saved it before. And how you do that, I also showed in the lection before. So make sure you have a look into that section as well. Good. Now that you are on that screen, the first thing you do is to log into your Google account if you're not already logged in. And after that, you press that button that says Verbinden in German. It means connect. And if we do that, we get a connection to the computing power of the Google Cloud. We wait a couple of seconds, and as soon as you see this little check mark here, you know you're connected to Google. And now we can go on. So now we're basically connected to computing power, and we can run our notebook. And what we do now is we click play on all of these 4 lines, one after each other. And when we click the final one, we're ready to go with Fooocus, and we can start the actual creating process. So we start with clicking here on the first play. And as you can see, there are processes running which you don't have to understand at that point. I don't understand them neither, to be honest, but it works, and that's the most important. So it just took 8 seconds. Then we go on to the next line. We click play here, and then it starts downloading a base model. Here you see Realism Engine STXL. This is basically a base model. A base model is a tool within our Stable Diffusion software which allows us to create a certain look in images, and that's why we entered it into our Google Colab. Down here you see a percentage, and when we reach 100% here, it means the base model is downloaded and installed in our Google Colab notebook. So we just have to wait until 100. Depending on your internet connection, this can take a couple of seconds or minutes, but as we have a very bad internet here in Germany, for me it takes forever. So I get back to you in a couple of minutes. So ages later, finally the model is downloaded and installed, and we can go on to the next line and also click play here. So the next base model will be downloaded, which is the Lazy Mix Real Amateur model. This is also a very nice base model for creating highly realistic images. That's why I always include it into my workflow and why I also suggest that to you. So also here we have to wait a couple of minutes until the base model is downloaded, and then we can go on with the fourth and last line here in our process. So I get back to you in a couple of minutes. So the second base model is downloaded. We see that here at 100% and the little green check mark here. So we can jump to the last line and press play here. And as you might remember, we moved that line all the way to the bottom. So normally we just press one time play and we would directly start here. That's why we had to move that line so we can include these 2 downloads of the base model. So we customized the Google Colab a little bit to our special needs. And now we just have to wait for the last line to complete, which also takes forever here in Germany. So I get back to you as soon as that is done, maybe with already longer hair. We will see. Yeah, while we are waiting, I want to give you a little extra information, which is of high importance in my opinion. So maybe all this screen looks a little bit different for you. Why is that? You can scroll down here, and it's very important that you remember that. So in case you don't find, for example, that particular spot, just make sure you had a look on all the notebook. And yeah, you can always scroll up and down to make sure you see everything. So now here we wait for the last seconds to complete, and then we can start with Fooocus. So welcome back. As soon as you see those two lines running on local URL and running on public URL, we are ready to go. Now the difference is that this thing keeps on running, okay? So it won't be a green check mark, it keeps running because it's basically indicating that our virtual notebook is still running, okay? And now is a very important point. Please don't press on the first one because it will cause the Google Colab and Fooocus to run locally on your hardware, which can be super slow if you don't have a very powerful computer as I have. So keep in mind, press here on running on public URL, the second link. And as soon as you click here, a second window is opening and you get to the starting screen of Fooocus. So now we are actually in Fooocus, our tool in which we will produce the face image for our AI influencers and other steps which we will come to later. So whenever I talk about the starting screen of Fooocus or starting with Fooocus, that's what I have in mind. And if you don't know how to get there, come back to this lection at the beginning and follow all the steps we did to get to exactly that point. And in the next lection, we will start creating the actual face of our AI influencer with exactly that tool. So stay tuned.